You know, sometimes our plans and our purposes don't exactly sync with God's purpose and His plan for our lives. Who do you think actually wins in that instance? Good morning. This is Pastor Ernie Lewis of the Blue Point Church in Sisney, Illinois, with your thoughts for Thursday. Man, well, that's you and me, you realize, often has a specified plan for their life that leaves God out. His will is not even considered. But Proverbs chapter 16 reminds us in verse 9, a man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. Did you hear that? Man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. You know, many a young person has made their plans way down the road as if their future and their career is already decided, how they're going to make their fortunes, what they're going to do. And then God steps in to remind them that we are created for His purpose. We may be reminded of Jonah and the Old Testament, his wayward tale about travel. God called Jonah to go to the wicked city of Nineveh and preach the gospel. But Jonah didn't like that plan. So he bought a ticket to sail to Tarshish. And now he's on this luxury liner and his cruise that he has planned. And a great storm comes up that begins to toss the ship. They've even lost much of their cargo now before they finally come to the place where they find Jonah. And he admits it is his disobedience to God that is causing all this. So they throw him overboard. And perhaps he thinks that's the end of it. But it's not. Of course, we know the story of the great fish that God prepared in order to swallow up Jonah. And this fish is more obedient than God's prophet. He actually goes to the place where he is supposed to go, transports him to the shores of the land of Nineveh, and spits him up there. A man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. You know, it sounds somewhat like my life. Whenever I was a young man, I had great plans to be an engineer. I loved math and was good at it in school, so I had already sent my transcripts into the University of Missouri at Rolla, and I was planning my future. But then the Lord decided that His plan said I was supposed to be a preacher. And He began in many different ways to direct my path. Do you know, by the way, how much a preacher actually uses math? Very little, maybe counting the people on Sunday morning, and then oftentimes he's incorrect on that number, evangelistically speaking anyway, you know. But think about this tidbit of wisdom that we've given here in Proverbs chapter 16. A man's heart plans his ways, but God directs his steps. Often those plans are made when our heart is not right with God, or we're not responsive to His work in our lives, or His leading, or His will for us. So when we get our plans all mapped out for the future, God begins to direct our steps, or perhaps to redirect our steps and to lead us and guide us in a whole different direction. There are examples in the Scripture, like Jeremiah, who said in the Old Testament, I wish I just had a lodge in the wilderness where I could care for wayfaring men that traveled by. But the Lord stopped him in his tracks and said, no, you have a job to do. Jeremiah went back to being a prophet for the Lord, even though it was a difficult task. Be careful about making plans in our own hearts whenever God is not in it. The New Testament said we shouldn't even say, I'm going to do it. We should say, if the Lord is willing. That's really the key, is to find God's will and to do that. Otherwise, He will be redirecting our steps all over again.